Since 2007, one man has dared to expose the sinister power players on all sides of the phony political spectrum. Armed with over 30 years of research knowledge of the paranormal, government conspiracies, geopolitics, secret and ancient societies, the esoteric arts, and much more. One man's quest for knowledge has become a mission for the enlightenment of all people. Broadcasting from the conspiracy ground zero of Dallas, Texas, this is The Global Reality with your host, Josh Reeves.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the broadcast. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. It is Wednesday, November 13th, 2019, and I'm back here with you again for another edition of the show. Thank you so much for being with me here. I've got a lot of different things to get into and discuss with you here tonight on the show, as per usual, so I'll be doing my best to get into all of it for you here. There hasn't been a whole lot of material lately. In fact, I've had some stuff I've been saving up. Plus, I've been doing the film work and working on Spellcasters too. So, and that leads me to the first thing I want to bring up here right out of the gates before I get into everything I want to talk about tonight. Depending on how much there is to cover and get into the rest of this week, I may not be here doing any more shows the rest of this week because, to be honest with you, I need like about a week, just like 7 days or so. I just need like about a week where I don't have to worry about prepping a show, doing news gathering for a show, and spending the hours prep time or whatever that I usually spend just gathering news and gathering my thoughts as well and thinking about what I want to talk about and discuss. It takes a lot of energy, believe it or not. And I've been doing this for a long time, and it's, I always put the same amount of energy into it. I don't have, some guys will have, as I've talked about before, they'll have things mapped out where they're going to talk about every second. I don't do that. But I do a tremendous amount of, there's research is an everyday part of my normal thing. It's not even something I even do. Plus also just staying on top of the news and everything else. So a tremendous amount of energy goes into in prep work, and everything else goes into just doing one of these shows every day. And to be honest with you, with all the setbacks that we've had over the past several months, past year really, health problems I've had and everything else, we've had problems here at the studio and funding and all that. I'm asking for you, the audience, to help me. I just need like a week where I don't have to worry about doing the show or even thinking about if I'm going to do the show. Cause that happens too. You wouldn't believe sometimes there's stuff that, you do all the work and everything, and then you have tech problems or, you're not feeling well. So there's a lot of those days. With that said, I just need like a week where I don't have to worry about doing the show or anything, and then I'll be back to doing shows and everything. I just need to take like a week and do nothing every day for a week except work on the film and think about nothing else and not answer emails and all that crap that comes with this stuff. So what that's gonna require is that we reach our fundraising goal for this week. Every week we have fundraising goals. We have the total goal that we have for the month, and then we have the amount we have to raise at the end of the month, first of the month, and all that stuff. We also have weekly goals, and it's important for us to reach those goals so that we can stay afloat and keep going in the meantime and all that. So our goal for this week is 300. We just need to reach that goal for this week. Got to keep the internet and all that good stuff on. I just need like a week. I could come up with some other stuff, and I might, do another show or two in the next week or so. I just don't know yet. But for right now, of where I'm at in the film work and how I need to just focus my energy on that and nothing else. I'm asking you guys to please support my work right now. Get some downloads from the download shop. Buy yourself one of those download collections that has all my work in it. If you haven't got that yet, the Mystery Hollywood series is a fucking great one, 9 hours. There's some unbelievable info in that you should check out. Get yourself a membership to the members archives and all that stuff. Anything you can do. Help us reach our goal for the week too, $300. And I'm just asking you guys to please pitch in whatever you can so I can stay focused at the task at hand. Because if I don't do that, then if I go and start working on the film as I've done, then we end up getting no support, and then it just ends up snowballing, and then we're back in a bad situation again. So again, this is one of the many ways where I'm trying to try something different, try something new, and be able to have a period of time. I always need this in any film I work on, but right now I need it more than ever. I need just about a week where I don't have to worry about anything else. Because believe it or not, my mind is, because my mind is constantly on doing the show 24 hours a day. And probably only because, as I've told you before, so much in that Mystery Hollywood series or stuff like that too, so much stuff I find when I'm not even looking for it. That's what's wild. I find stuff in my downtime all the time. I used to not take any downtime away from this stuff at all, but I've kind of had to force myself for health reasons and whatnot and burnout reasons over the past year or so to, because I've gone nonstop. From the time I turned this microphone on the first show in September 2007, I literally have not stopped since then. And I don't mind working hard, and I don't mind putting my blood, sweat, and tears into everything. But, when I don't get the support and reciprocation back, that makes it tough. So those of you who do support and contribute and you're the only reason I'm able to do this. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But like I said, I don't like going radio silent on you, because then we don't get anything in, and people don't know that I need you to support my work. So that's why I'm asking right now. I need to just focus all my energy on my work so I can get this thing done. And I want to have this thing out in the next week and a half latest. So please support my work. Please contribute whatever you can. Help us reach that goal for the week. And, anything and everything you can do, small amount, large amount, whatever, that will enable me to be able to put all my energy into getting this film done out in the next week and a half. And that's my goal. So thank you guys. All right. Where I want to start tonight. I got some stuff I can't wait to get into here tonight. Let's just start from the top. Hundreds of earthquakes rattled the U.S. as the level of seismic activity in North America continues to rise. And I've talked about this literally for 10 years. Back in 2009, there's shows that you can go back and listen to where I talked about the New Madrid fault line and how Edgar Casey had predicted this, and it happened once before and caused the Mississippi River to run backwards. If you ever heard the band Uncle Tupelo, 90s alternative country band, the two guys from that went on to form Wilco and Sunvolt. There's a song in there called New Madrid. And that was what first got my attention to them. I heard that back in the 90s when I worked in a record store. I heard that song, and I'd remember reading some Edgar Casey stuff, I think when I was in high school. And I became fascinated even then with the whole New Madrid fault line thing, and how there's supposedly been a cover-up for many years about, this, you can forget hurricanes and, the big one in California. If this motherfucker goes off, not only will it change the landscape, literally, of the entire United States, but, untold millions. We're talking maybe even hundreds of millions, maybe. Probably 100 million at least, probably dead from this thing. And there's been a lot of interesting things that's happened around that I speculated, I don't know, 9-10 years ago, that I thought it might be possible that they were trying to intentionally. When you actually see how easy it is, it's crazy. When you see how easy it is, ladies and gentlemen, to induce an earthquake using low frequency sound waves, it's unbelievable. You probably, you can go look on YouTube. There's videos of guys going out with subwoofers and pointing them towards the ground and taking seismometers out and pumping low frequency waves, oscillations into the ground and causing seismic activity. Interestingly enough, also too, it's like I've told you about the rock wall. When you apply low frequency sound waves to the rock wall, it shakes and vibrates and starts to produce electricity. And they know, we already know with things like HARP, that's, it's totally feasible for that technology, but there's been a mass swarm of earthquakes in the New Madrid zone recently, and it's been largely ignored in the media. So this is an article that I found that's discussing that. Why is the mainstream media being so quiet about all the seismic activity that has been happening all across the United States? During the last 7 days, there has been an earthquake swarm directly along the New Madrid fault zone. Kansas and Oklahoma have been hit by a very unusual number of significant quakes, and there have been sizable seismic events in the vicinity of the Yellowstone supervolcano. But of course, the West Coast is getting hammered more than anyone else. According to Caltech, there have been more than 1,000 earthquakes in California and Nevada over the last week, but of course, most of them have been very small. Overall, the latest USGS numbers tell us there have been more than 2,000 earthquakes nationally during the last 7 days, and apparently we aren't supposed to be alarmed by that. But could it be possible that all of this seismic activity is leading up to something really big? Over the weekend, we witnessed some very unusual quakes in the middle of the country. On Sunday, a magnitude 3.2 earthquake rattled Kansas. The Kansas quake hit at 9:08 p.m. Central Time near South Hutchinson, northwest of Wichita. According to the USGS, about 175 people reported feeling the tremor, some as far away as Osborne and Concordia, Kansas. Thankfully, the quake hit in an area with a very, very low population density, and so it didn't affect many people. But then on Sunday, a series of relatively large earthquakes hammered Oklahoma. A 3.0 magnitude earthquake hit near Fairview in northern Oklahoma. Well, what they don't tell you here, too, and you kind of have to know that area geographically. Number one, that area, Fairview, northern Oklahoma, that's right on the Kansas border. It's very close to there. If there weren't state lines there, you could basically say it's pretty much in the same area. Also, I know for a fact that area is rife with fracking. I mean, they've had a lot of the quakes that have happened over the last decade in Oklahoma have all been as a result of fracking. But specifically that these are happening simultaneously so close to the New Madrid fault line is why there's reason for alarm here. Overall, there have been 143 earthquakes in Oklahoma in the last 30 days, and the increasing level of seismic activity in that part of the nation definitely has a lot of people on edge. But of much greater concern is what has been happening along the West Coast. The two major quakes that hit California in July were followed by more than 100,000 aftershocks. Oh, that's never a good sign of things to come. And scientists are warning that this may have increased stress on parts of a major dormant fault line. A series of earthquakes which shook Southern California earlier this year may have increased stress on parts of a major dormant fault line which has not produced any significant activity since records began, according to a study. Scientists from the University of Iowa examined the so-called Ridgecrest earthquakes, which began with a 6.4 magnitude foreshock in the Mojave Desert on July 4th, followed the next day by a 7.1 magnitude quake in the largest in Southern California for 2 decades. In addition, more than 100,000 smaller aftershocks were recorded. The dormant fault line, which they are talking about, is the Garlock Fault, The Garlock Fault runs directly into the San Andreas Fault. One day there will be a massive quake that fundamentally alters the geography of Southern California, and let us hope that day is delayed for as long as possible. Meanwhile, we also have witnessed some unusual rumbling off the coast farther north. Well, yeah, but listen, well, they should just cut all this down and really, which I'll do, and give you the real meat and potatoes of what they should be trying to tell you here. Why is it fucking always my job to do that? I guess that's what I'm here for. I guess that's why I don't get paid the big bucks, right? Listen, the real long and the short of it is that you've got the Pacific Rim line and the New Madrid line becoming active simultaneously. Okay, that's the fucking bottom. That's the goddamn headline. You fucking. I'm sorry. I'll calm down. Sorry. Whew, take a breath. Sorry. I just get frustrated sometimes, you know, because I look over. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this where I'm reading this from, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There are 19 paid advertisements on the side of this article alone. Which means these people are getting fucking paid big bucks every time some fucking schmuck like me fucking reads this goddamn article. And then they, oh, Jesus, here we go. Okay, never mind. I forget I ever talked about this. I'm sure there's nothing going on. Look, all I can tell you is what I've been tracking for many years, and that's that, Jesus, I should have fucking known. What website is this from? The economic collapse blog.com. Yeah, I fucking kept scrolling down this article, and they start quoting fucking, what's his dick? Scaremonger Supreme, Jones's buddy. Somebody just brought him up recently. Oh, Steve Quayle. Ugh. Another fucking CMP shill. Yeah, I should have known. All these fucking advertisers say, get prepared now, and the prepper's blueprint. There's 19 fucking, and these people, I could have told you everything you need to know in less than a paragraph and without fucking 20 advertisements on one fucking article. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is you have multiple earthquake zones that are capable of producing mass earthquake events, and they're simultaneously becoming very, very active all of a sudden, and the coverage of that is largely slim to none. So again, I like I've told you before, it goes back to the whole thing where they're not going to, even if they know something's going to happen, and these are, as I've talked about before, cyclical events. A lot of these have to do with sun cycles. You've got the sun going through a very interesting period right now, sort of a dormant period where sunspots are an all-time low. You've got stuff like a geomagnetic polar reversal, that kind of thing. So, and of course, scrolling through this, I should have fucking known. They don't tell you anything. They don't tell you any important shit. Just that's the problem is that, there are a lot of these things, just like I've talked about with all these people claiming, there's going to be a terrorist attack on this date. Remember that? And then nothing happens. And then what do they say every time? I couldn't believe with this last one that they were saying Seattle. And I told everybody, I had people getting mad at me because I would not get on board with that and fearmonger it. And then it doesn't happen, and then nobody comes back to me and says, "Oh, hey, sorry, I gave you shit for not talking about that." No, people just fucking don't bring it up again, and they use the same thing every time. I've been seeing this. I was shocked when somebody left a comment on one of my videos and said that the person who made that last prediction that didn't come true, actually it was had like a chat room or something, and then when it didn't happen, they said, "Oh, yay, it's because we got the word out." Dude, I can't believe people are still using that. I heard motherfuckers using that 12, 13 years ago, and I knew they were plants in, they're still using that bullshit lie. I mean, these people need to run the fuck out of town and not have any platforms. They need to be exposed. Because just like I've talked about with the Chicken Little stuff before, it's stuff like this where I can tell you just from my own research that there is reason to be concerned, and I believe there is a cover-up for the activation of the Pacific Rim earthquake line and the activation of the New Madrid fault line happening simultaneously. But what happens is that even though that's true, these people like Steve Quayle and Jones and many, many others, the people that make predictions like the stuff that, of course, didn't happen in Seattle, they use everything, and a lot of them, not all of them, but a high proportion of them are using it to justify selling you products that have to do with the end times and the return of Jesus. And this is the shit I was warning people about fucking 12 years ago when I first started exposing the Council for National Policy stuff. These guys are, that's the thing. Whenever you see CMP, just remember to think CIA. That's the whole thing. That's the main thing. That's what all these guys are. They're disinformation shills, and they want to use fear, and they want to get you confused so you don't know what to believe. That's what they're put there to do. And so the problem is, as these guys latch on to everything, and then they fearmonger every single thing, to the point where you have no discernment left if you follow them, and you don't know what you should be concerned about and what you shouldn't be. And what ultimately ends up happening is that people end up going crazy or going fucking nuts, or going the apathetic route and not giving a shit at all about anything. And they're happy for you to choose either one of those. Again, another one of the many reasons why they want me suppressed. They want to see me fail. They want to see me not be able to tell you the real truth about things. Because frankly, I've been one of the only, if not the only, for many, many years, warning you about these guys and telling you this is what they're trying to do. That's why I don't jump on top of these bullshit concocted fucking predictions that happen every other fucking month. Because their job, that's why a part of their disinformation and psychological warfare program is to get you to not know what to believe. That way, when something does happen, it increases the likelihood of more casualties. So that's why I want to, especially specifically with this whole thing with the earthquake swarms and whatnot, what am I supposed to tell you to do? All I can do is give you the info and tell you that I've been researching this and been hearing about this for decades, as have a lot of credible scientists and a lot of researchers, but it's been largely downplayed, dismissed, not given time in the mainstream media. And again, when you look historically at events like this, that's often a red flag. But, if these guys want to fucking tell you about this and then go, well, that's why you need to buy this book, or this is Prepper's Bible book, and that's why you need to buy this storable food from this company over here. And, oh, by the way, get some Jew gold, too, because when the monetary system collapses, you're going to have to either sell your asshole or sell your kid's butthole or fucking, have something for hard currency. So we better get some Jew gold in here. And then people, when none of this stuff happens and people just say, well, I'm not going to listen to it. So, I do believe that they're actively seeking to, activate fault lines, use, whatever kind of electromagnetic weapons, frequency weapons, that kind of thing, to make these, worse than they are. And I think it's part of the what I talked about many years ago, the disaster economy, the weaponization of weather and the weaponization of natural forces. I mean, frankly, the technology to do that's old as shit. They've had it for decades. Trump administration schedules lease sale for Arctic Alaskan lands. Oh, really? The Trump administration said on Tuesday it will be auctioning off nearly 4 million acres of land in Arctic Alaska for oil development next month, and it's promising much more territory will be open for development in the future. Oh, well, I wonder who'll be the highest bidder on that. Guaranteed it'll be, whatever the big Russian oil conglomerate is. Shit's going to go right to Russia. That's the thing. They want to open up all this. The United States is producing more oil than anybody else in the whole world right now. Do you guys know that? It's a fact. We're producing so much oil, there should be no reason why you should be paying more than 97 cents a gallon at the fucking pump. Anywhere. I don't give a fuck even if you live in California. So why is that? Well, the reason it is because it's all a scam. That's what all this shit is. All the top countries want their piece of the fucking oil scam pie. And that's it. Everything else comes secondary to that. And Russia wants to rule it all. And it's a big scam. The reason why you're paying high gas prices is because none of that stuff is going to us. It's going to Russia. It's going to China. Meanwhile, they've got us suckers. They've got their deal set with the Saudis because the Saudis don't want to be left out. Meanwhile, they continue to sell us and make us buy Saudi oil at $4 or whatever it is a gallon. When there's absolutely, positively no reason to do that, when we are producing enough oil right here in America, where we should not ever have to buy 84 oil, ever. That's why this shit's a scam, man. And they count on the fucking dumb sheep remaining ignorant of this stuff and never knowing it or just calling it a conspiracy or anything else. And meanwhile, they're open, why would they auction off 4 million acres of oil-rich land? And meanwhile, they want to sell us why and we've got that story coming up. They just uncovered some huge oil, 50 million barrels worth or something in Iran. Now we know why they've been beating that war drum again. But it's all ridiculous, man. You're going to auction that off to the highest bidder. 4 million acres with oil on it in Arctic Alaska. You know the Russians are going to be the ones to get it. When we could open that up, refine that oil ourselves and use it, and you'd have a booming economy again. Because everybody's not having to pay all these crazy amounts for gas. The cream's going to rise to the top, and it's going to, the equilibrium will equal everything out. But no, that's not the scam. And listen, it doesn't matter what person is in there, whether it's Obama or Bush or Trump. This scam goes on, man. Doesn't matter what puppet they get in there running the puppet show for you. This is the shit that people need to be protesting in the fucking streets about, man. This is the stuff that people are ignorant about that makes me just roll my eyes and groan when I hear people bring up any of these other bullshit, fucking gender pronouns and PC garbage bullshit and woke culture crap. No, you are being bled dry, forced to pay exorbitant energy and oil prices just in order to keep the Saudi Arabians, living high on the hog. That's all it's about. It's these bullshit deals, man. We got enough oil and gas right here. We don't have to buy it, but that's the whole reason why you have to pay high at the pump. They're selling all this stuff off to everybody else. All that fracking, all that natural gas, all fracking, all to Russia. We're getting the earthquakes and the polluted water and everything else from this stuff, and we're not even reaping the benefits of low energy prices with all the fracking and all the opening of all these oil reserves and all this stuff. And now this Alaska, folks, we should be paying 50 cents a gallon. People should be living high on the hog. Your electricity bill should be $50 a month. But they're continuing to run this scam So these cartels that have made these agreements decades ago can keep their fucking thing going. And this is how they keep the illusion of, and just allows their whole, everything, all the politics and everything else, this is what allows all of it to stay in place. Unbelievable. I mean, why not just say, we're selling 4 million acres to the Russians? Why put up the front of, we're auctioning it off? But again, why do it anyway? This makes no sense. We've been sold out to the highest bidder long ago, and we're enslaved to some. Again, there's the stupidity of the fact that we even have to buy this. I mean, people talk about the end of America, and it was over a long time ago. I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. It was over before it started. Vladimir Putin says Wikipedia should be banned and replaced with a Russian version with, quote unquote, reliable information. Yeah, right. Oh, reliable information, huh? Reliable information from the, I mean, they're lucky they got anything over there. Yeah. Where was that reliable information come from? You, Putin, from the KGB? That smug look on that fucker's face. That's just hilarious. Well, let me ask you this, Putin: will you be able to edit it and people out? Oh, of course not. No, we have to have the reliable version, which is whatever the Russian state says is the truth. That's the truth. That's the code definition there for reliable information. Whatever the Russian state says is the truth, that's the truth. They really, really hate the fact that, the free flowing of information in the Western world has really been a detriment to Vladimir Putin and Russia. And this, of course, is why they want to affect our political systems here. This is why they want it. That's why they have Russian troll farms and meme farms. The whole Cambridge Analytica thing and all that. This is what that's all about. They want to create all these things so they can create situations that will eventually lead for the powers that be to say, okay, we've got to figure out a way to control the internet, control the free flow of information, and keep it to what we say. Because that's what they were able to do. They were able to do that for literally since time immemorial, with books and controlling the printing presses and controlling radio once that technology came about, controlling television once that came about. But now that they completely have lost control and that information and truth can flow freely, they are trying and they are desperate, really, to do anything they can to shut it down. Meet the scientist who thinks we all exist in multiple universes. Have you ever laid awake in the late hours of the night wondering what your life would look like if you took that other job, moved countries, or ended up with someone else? While there's no definite answer and probably never will be, the idea that there's multiple versions of you living in various universes isn't as make-believe as you might think. Well, what are we talking about here? This is old news, isn't it? Einstein talked about that. Einstein backed it up with general relativity and whatnot. The idea that, it's the whole thing of, the two roads diverge, that whole thing. You went to the road on your right, it would have had an outcome, but if you would have went down the road your left, totally different outcome. But somewhere in space-time, both of those outcomes have played out, even though you only have access to seeing whichever one that you actually participated in. I don't know, man. Maybe it's me. Maybe I just spent too much time looking at this. I don't know. I just think, I feel like that's, why are they acting like this is some kind of a new idea? According to Sean Carroll, a theoretical physicist at the California Institute of Technology and author of somebody's trying to sell a book. That's what it is. author of Something Deeply Hidden, Quantum Worlds and the Emergence of Space-Time. Somebody else ripping off Einstein and fucking plastering their name on it, acting like it's their own. The increasingly popular theory of many worlds interpretation suggests every fundamental event has possible outcomes and splits the world into alternate realities. This mind-bending idea originally came from Hugh Everett, a graduate student who wrote just one paper in the 1950s. Again, you're crediting this to some guy who wrote a paper on the 1950s? Einstein talked about it before that. Everett's theory describes the universe as a changing set of numbers known as the wave function that evolves according to a single equation. According to many worlds, the universe continually splits into new branches to produce multiple versions of ourselves. Carroll argues that so far this interpretation is the simplest possible explanation of quantum mechanics. The ideas we have had for at least 25 years before Everett came along was this puzzle in quantum mechanics that there's one set of rules of how wave functions behave when you're not looking at them. And, Schrodinger's cat, right? Yeah, that's essentially the same thing, Schrodinger's cat. How wave functions behave when you're not looking at them, and there's another set of rules for how they behave when they get measured. Yeah, that's Schrodinger's cat. Hello? According to life science, quantum mechanics is the body of scientific laws that describe the bizarre behavior of photons, electrons, and any other particles that make up the universe. At the scale of atoms and electrons, many of the equations of classical mechanics, which describe how things move at everyday sizes and speeds, cease to be useful. A lot of people, including Everett, thought that this didn't sound right. He said, you are quantum mechanical also because you're made of atoms and particles, and there's only one wave function, so you're really part of this function. According to Carroll, this theory raises philosophical problems in regards to how you treat the copies of you other brand. Man, it's frustrating. I don't know. I guess I've been doing this too long. I'm just so frustrated and tired of the same shit. It's the same shit week in and week out. The same shit in every one of these articles. These people can't fucking write. They can't speak properly. Can't use proper English. I'm going on a great fucking roll. I'm running like and then I got to stop because I have to try and interpret what they mean here. According to Carroll, this theory raises philosophical problems in regards to how you treat the that doesn't make sense. How you treat and treat. Regards to how you treat and treat the copies of you other branches. I don't even know what they're trying to say because all those words are wrong. Regards of how you treat the copies of your other, I'll say that. I don't even know if that makes sense. This is frustrating. They share the same memories of you and they have every right to be thought of as you, but they're separate people in a different universe. The number of universal branches increases over time, and the older you get, the more versions of you there are. To better understand this, Carroll dumbs it down to being much like a Star Trek teleporter that malfunctions and makes two copies of you. They're both real, but they're going to live different lives, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, it's interesting. Was there a movie they made, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago? I can't remember. Was it called Another World? Was that what it was called? I think it had What's-Her-Jugs in it. I can't remember. What's that blonde's name? She's got some big old hooters. I can't remember her name. I think it's called Another World. What was the chick's name was it she with the one that she used to date or was married to? The one was with Heath Ledger, the blonde. You know what I'm talking about. Virgin Suicides chick. I don't know why I can't think of her name. And please don't paste her name a goddamn fucking 1,000 times in the comments of this video, please. I'll figure it out. It doesn't matter. What's her tits is good enough. Anyway, there's a movie she was in. I think it was called Another World or something like that. And there's like another Earth on top of you, and there's another you there, and you can go and what happens if you go and interact with that? Yeah, I think that I've said for years, I think that oftentimes what we're experiencing in our dreams is a reflection of this other version of you living out some other timeline, in some other dimension, and that's what comprises our dreams. I don't know. I sure do get frustrated. These people that it just frustrates me to no end. These people get paid a lot of fucking money, thousands of dollars for one of these articles, and they can't even fucking get it right. And then if I can't remember some stupid actress's name, I'll get shit for it for the next week. It's just frustrating. The rise of microchipping. Are we ready for technology to get under the skin? Here we go. They roll this out about every 10 years, don't you? This is another one of those ones they'll be using. Oh, it's the mark of the beast. This means it's the end times and Jesus is returning. I could have made a lot of fuck. Man, if I had the ability to fucking, just be fake, I tell you what, I could have made a great preacher down here in the South. Boy, I'm here to tell you that the Lord sees what you're doing in the darkness, and the Lord doesn't like it. See, the Lord will take you and burn your soul in Hades. 75 chips, $15,000 right now. If you want to save your immortal soul. Ah, Jesus, heal me, Lord. Send me all your money. Yeah. That's where it's at, though. Ask Kanye. He'll tell you. He figured it out. On August 1st, 2017, workers at 3 Square Market, a Wisconsin-based company specializing in vending machines, lined up in the office cafeteria to be implanted with microchips, one after the other. They held out a hand to a local tattoo artist who pushed a rice grain-sized implant into the flesh between the thumb and the forefinger. The 41 employees who opted into the procedure received complimentary T-shirts that read, "I got chipped." Oh, isn't that nice? The wholesale implant event, organized by company management, dovetailed with 3 Square Market's longer-term vision of a cashless payment system for their vending machines. Workplace snacks purchased with a flick of the wrist, and the televised chipping party. Oh, yay, we're having a chipping party. Come over and get your microchip in you. Hey, bring your kids, too. Oh, we're doing pets, too. Proved to be a savvy marketing tactic. The story picked up by media outlets from Moscow to Sydney, but not all the attention was positive. After the event, comments on 3 Square Market's Facebook page urged employees to quit. The company's Google reviews page was inundated with 1-star ratings, and Christian groups convinced that the implants, here we go, fulfilled an end-of-days prophecy where people are branded with the mark. Again, listen, there's nothing good about these fucking implants. Yes, it is about wanting to create, the cashless society and all that stuff, but understand that it's these fearmonger Christian fundamentalists that fucking jammed all this shit together like they were making a casserole and have tried to, because they, it's not really that far off and people are easily duped. First they said it was supposed to be, because they did this back when fucking barcodes first came out. Back before barcodes came out, people were in the 70s and early 80s, because I remember hearing this when I was a kid. They used to say that it would be the mark of the beast was basically like a tattoo, essentially, or like a brand. Then once fucking barcodes and shit came out, then it was, the barcode is the mark of the beast. And every barcode in the barcode has 666, and in every barcode, it's in every, and then the microchipping technology got around, and then now it became, that's the new mark of the beast. So they're just fucking jamming the mark of the beast thing in. Okay, there's no fucking proof that barcodes or these implants are the mark of the beast. That's people trying to jam, just like I was telling you with the Steve Quayle shit, trying to jam their fucking end times bullshit in with whatever current happening is going on. And I believe that's 100% on purpose. Because then, if you believe that something like getting an implant put in you is bad, and this idea of a cashless society and being able to turn off, whoever's microchip they choose to turn off, and this, that, and the other, then if you have a problem with that and you speak out about it, then your average dummy who's only ever heard anything negative said about these implants come from one of these, fundamentalist crazy nutbags, then they automatically assume that you believe everything that person believes because you don't like these implants. You see this? This is a part of the psyop, folks. This is what I'm trying to get you to understand. And some people, well, fuck, I don't want to be associated with, I don't want to be associated with those assets. I'll just keep my mouth shut about it. Again, either way, they win. You see the game that's being played here now? They love it if you believe they're bullshit. But even if you don't, that's great too. Because more than likely, you're also not going to be knowing the whole truth or knowing what the whole real plan is. And this is how they're getting, this is why you've had people, that's why do you think they had, they started microchipping people as like, just like they told you here at the beginning of this, who did they bring in to administer the chips to people at this company? A fucking tattoo artist. Because that's what body modifications, that's what they started out with the implant thing with. That's how they got people to do it. And who are those, I'm not being judgmental or anything with this, I'm just telling it like it is. Who more than likely, think about the type of person, folks, that's going to get some kind of body modification like that. And it's probably going to be somebody that's pretty far away from right-wing Christian fundamentalism, isn't it? Let's just call it what it is, freaks. Hey, I'm a freak too. Let your freak flag fly. Hey, I'm all about it. But I got tats. I had piercings back in the 90s. What? But again, it's that constant association of this stuff with the Christian fundamentalist end times horseshit, and how you can't bring up this time. You cannot, you can't even write an article about it. This is the London Guardian. The London Guardian can't even write an article about it without bringing it up. But again, that's how they're able to sort of, pigeonhole and push to the side. Anybody has a problem. Oh, well, yeah, if you don't like it, then you're just one of those Christian people who believes it's the mark of the beast. And we need to be able to get to the truth and get truth to people without it automatically coming with some caveat or some already attached belief thing to it. This is not the only issue. Again, you know that. This is not the only issue we see this with. What they do this time and again, by associating something with a certain group, thereby getting people to judge it and not really finding out the truth about it. Well, I'm not worried about it, But yeah, this is it again. But I'll be 100% honest too. I got nothing else to add to the argument. If you're stupid enough to get a chip in put in you, or even consider it, there's nothing there's nothing I'm going to say that can help you, I'm afraid. Oh, this is crazy. I can't believe I hadn't heard about this. my sister sent me this. I hadn't heard about this. Apparently, but it's fucking hilarious because, I'll tell you why in a minute, but apparently Ron Paul has his own, there's some Ron Paul homeschooling now. Like the Ron Paul homeschool program. And I was looking at it, I was like, let me see this shit. I saw it, I was like, I looked at it for 2 seconds, I guarantee, let me see. Guarantee it's CMP connected. Motherfucker, I broke my record. It took me, let's see, what, the fucking curriculum of the Ron Paul homeschooling thing, it comes from Gary North. Took 2 seconds. I mean, you can do it yourself. If you want to see how fast you can do it, type Gary North CMP and see how fast it comes up. Boom. And again, CMP translates to CIA, so there you go. So essentially, the Ron Paul homeschooling thing is the Gary North, not essentially, it is the Gary North CIA CMP homeschooling program. Man, I can't tell you how many fucking people hated my guts when I first started coming out with the CMP stuff and was connecting so many CMP people directly to Ron Paul. And again, when the first year I started researching the CMP back in 2017, there was, before the election thing happened with Ron Paul, there used to be a link online that had Ron Paul listed as a member of the Council for National Policy. 2 other people I knew at the time saw it, and then it was scrubbed from the internet. It's never been back again. But regardless of whether we have that or not, he's got enough associations with enough people to, and as I've detailed in those Secret Right films. But this was just another. As soon as I saw Gary North saying, I already knew Gary North was CMP, but I just went and looked it up, verified. Yes, of course he is. But see, this is, again, but that's the whole essence of what I was trying to warn people about with Ron Paul and other people like him, is that's how they use people. They use Alex Jones like that too. Where Alex Jones, or in this case, Ron Paul with the this homeschooling thing, they basically use him as their kind of like what you would say a secret front man, essentially. You go look at the website, they slap his name on the Ron Paul homeschooling thing, but it's not until you get in there and start reading the fine print and you find this blog article like I did, The Truth About Gary North and the Ron Paul Curriculum. It's basically this guy, Gary North, a Christian Reconstructionist guy, CMP member, and he created this curriculum and then basically leases it out to Ron Paul. They slap Ron Paul's name on it, and then it becomes the Ron Paul homeschooling program. But really what it is, it's the Gary North homeschooling program. But they know if you go look up his name, Gary North is not Gary North on his own. I mean, yes, I'm sure I know he does have some dummies that follow his class or whatever, but Ron Paul's much more of a needle mover. You understand? Much more of a name. So this is a great case example of one of the many elements of what the Council for National Policy does. Is they're able to get their agendas across using people that, don't have their names on the public records of the CMP and stuff. It's easy for us to find these guys. And of course, and that's what I think attracted me to it when I first started looking into the CMP, when I first started looking to find out the people that are in it. I was like, my God, this is insane. I mean, you've got State Department, CIA, bloodline families, the DuPonts. I mean, DuPonts are, major bloodline. You had all these people. We got people like the father of the hydrogen bomb in there, was on the board of governors. And again, this is one of the many reasons, because then they're able to take somebody like Ron Paul, who looks squeaky clean, and they're able to get their agendas across through him. So if you're thinking about sending your kids to fucking homeschooling, don't fucking do the Ron Paul thing. Unless, of course, you want the right-wing Christian, CMP, CIA, mind control, brainwashing. They're going to get you any way they can get you. You understand? Again, that's the other point of this. Don't let me understate that. To be honest with you, that's really the main point. Just like I told you from the very beginning when I first started this show and Ron Paul was running for president, I told people, I said, look, I knew people in the 9/11 truth groups that were fucking liberal lefties for life, and they were changing over and registering as Republicans in order to vote for Ron Paul. And I was telling y'all, I told them then, that's a fucking trap. And nobody believed me. That's what Jones and so many of these other people are designed to do. That's why they get people. That's why they use stuff like the scaremongering for gun control and get people thinking they're going to take our guns away. Man, number one, too much money in guns. Guns aren't going nowhere. There's too much money in it. There's too much money at stake. They're not going anywhere. Okay? It's fear-mongering. It's not going anywhere. You can believe it. You can argue with me all day long. I'm telling you right now, if they wanted to take guns away, they would have done it a long time ago. There's too much money in it. They're not going anywhere. Quit buying into the fucking fear-mongering about your guns. There's too many fucking guns out there already. Even if they stopped making any tomorrow, the guns are not what you need to worry about. The bullets are what they're going to make go extinct. That's always been the main thing. Anyway, regardless of that, I can't tell you how many people I've had, and God damn it, there's nothing that frustrates me more than people that still buy into the false left right paradigm. I mean, it's probably the thing that alienates me from people the most, because I'll be 100% honest with you, and I don't give a damn if they're my family members. This is the honest to God truth. If you're still buying the left right paradigm, and you're buying in, and you still think one side is the good team, and the other team is the bad guys, and you don't know that they're all in it together, gangbanging you from both sides, I have no time or candy for you. I can't even tolerate those people anymore. I deleted so many people that I've been friends with for so long and just cut contact with them after Trump got elected because I just can't fucking stomach anybody, a grown person, adult, who thinks they know something about anything that still buy into the bullshit, phony left-right paradigm. And one of my listeners, like a month or so, left a comment, well, no, I don't want to vote for anybody, but, I have to vote for whoever's not going to take the guns away. And I have to tell them, what I already told you. That's what they do. Listen, that's what Jones and Ron Paul and all these other people are designed to do. They are there to get you back into the consensus, what I call the consensus reality paradigm, kicking and screaming one way or the other. So many people, you understand, people who have woken up and realized that it's all bullshit and it's all a facade. That's what they did with Ron Paul. They weren't successful. They did it with Trump. They were successful with Trump. Is they find a way to convince people who have largely separated themselves from the false left right paradigm and everything else to come back into it kicking and screaming. And they tried to do it with Ron Paul. They did it with Trump. And that's exactly what this whole Ron Paul homeschooling thing is. They know people who are Ron Paul supporters are largely people who are oftentimes supporters of people like Trump and Alex Jones and others. And a lot of these are people who are, anti-government, anti-this, whatever else, see government as a threat, see the public education system and public schools at large as government brainwashing and training centers, and they are. But where the deception comes in is that because they know this, they do things like create this Gary North created homeschooling thing. They slap Ron Paul's name on it. And let's not tell them Gary North actually came up with it. It's actually his curriculum. No, let's call it the Ron Paul homeschooling thing. And then what is it? Then you find out, okay, Gary North's in the fucking CIA-sponsored CMP. And then you realize, holy shit. Well, hopefully you realize. A lot of people don't. A lot of people go, oh, well, this is great. Wow, Ron Paul's got a homeschool now. Oh, man, I'm so glad I don't have to send my kid to a government training center. I can put him in the Ron Paul thing. Meanwhile, you're getting a CIA CMP curriculum that's disguised itself as this anti-government, anti-public training school, and meanwhile, it's coming from the same fucking source. Betsy DeVos, Education Secretary, CMP. Her husband is Rick DeVos. Orlando Magic, 32nd degree, 33rd degree Freemason. The whole family's Freemasons. Meanwhile, you think you're homeschooling your kid, you think you're doing the right thing, get them to this Ron Paul homeschooling. Meanwhile, they're still getting that CIA programming curriculum in there. It's just got a different face and a different label on it. And because accepting that fact and understanding that fact as the truth means that they would also have to accept the fact and the truth that their political party, the right wing or whoever it may be, is actually trying to not only to deceive them, but to give them by proxy and by disguise the same CIA-controlled indoctrination crap they give you at the public schools. People don't want to accept it. This is the level of deception, people. This is what I've been screaming about for 12 fucking years up here. That's why I've been trying to get you to understand this. I've been doing this for my fucking health. I've been doing it because you need to know this. People want to continue to ignore. NASA astronaut says we need a shield around the world before it's too late. Well, golly, good gracious fucking goodness. Here we fucking go. They're ramping up the asteroid thing. They're ramping up the space-based weapon thing. Now they're saying we need that. I mean, von Braun is laughing in his grave, isn't he? Barely a week goes by without the news of a near miss from an asteroid, and a NASA scientist wants the world to be better protected. The solar system is full of objects from tiny rocks barely bigger than a house brick to hefty moonless. Again, here, I don't even know why I fucking bother sometimes. These motherfuckers cannot write proper sentences in these articles to save their fucking lives. Hefty moonless? What the fuck is a hefty moonless? The solar system, I'm reading verbatim this sentence. I'm not making this up. This is not me misspeaking the words. The solar system is full of objects from tiny rocks barely bigger than a house brick to hefty moonless, like the one that spelled the end of the dinosaurs. Hefty moonless, huh? Was this written by a Brit? Sooner or later, one will come along that's on a direct collision course with the Earth. One man knows a bit more about space than most of us. Condescending. Rusty Schweikert. He spent 241 hours in space on Apollo 9 before Progress Spacewalk. Yes. And he's concerned that we have not made concrete plans on how to deal with planet-killing space rocks. Well, von Braun, first the threat would be communism, then third world crazy terrorists, then asteroids, and then the final card, which would be non-hostile aliens that want to help us. We're told they're actually hostile and that we need to weaponize space to combat against them. He discussed his concerns about asteroids with Russia today. Jesus fucking Christ, I quit. What the fuck? I fucking quit. I don't get it, man. I don't get how people still don't see this. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just guess I've been doing this too long. I just can't take this shit with a Coke and a smile anymore and suck it down and fucking move on to the next thing. It pisses me the fuck off. I didn't even see this. Now, all places this guy chooses to reinforce this idea of, whoa, we got to have a space beer, and we got to have space weapons, mirroring exactly what Warner von Braun talked about. And where does he say it at? We know all these guys are Freemasons. Russia Today, of course. KGB-owned fucking propaganda outlet. Loves Jones, loves Luke Rudowski, loves Webster Tarpley. Fucking hell, man. I can't even fucking take this. I can't even take this shit anymore. Oh, where did it go? Oh, did I? Excuse me. Did I delete the wrong article? Where did that article go? Did it disappear again? Give me just a second here. Let me find this. Okay, here it is. Okay, I've been on to this guy for a while. I talked a little bit about this guy, just briefly. I've been on to this guy for a while, and I'm totally on to this guy now. And I don't even know where to start with this. You guys know who this guy, Dan Bilzerian, is? I talked about him, and I didn't come out and say this because I didn't have a lot of information. I didn't have a lot of proof and evidence. Now I have a lot more now. So I'll say this for the first time, and I'll go ahead and just lay it out to you and let you know just point blank before I get into all of it. You know, I've talked about having gut feelings and stuff before. I mean, the day of 9/11, I had just immediately, I had the gut feeling. I was like, I know exactly what this is. I just knew it. I was like, this is a, you know, this is another JFK. This is another fucking conspiracy. You're going to have they'll have a Oswald, the whole Patsy rolled out in 15 minutes. You know, they'll have a fucking Bin Laden out. And of course, there's Bin Laden. I knew it just, as soon as it happened, the second tower hadn't even fallen yet. I'm watching it live. I already fucking knew what it was. Knew immediately what it was. And people said I was crazy. And nobody wanted to hear it. But it's that gut feeling, man. It's that thing you go, and I got to tell you, man, you can go back and listen to the shows that I did when the Las Vegas shooting happened at the Country Music Festival. I mean, I said from the very beginning of that something not only did, I mean, a lot of people, of course, said something didn't smell right about it, but when I said something didn't smell right, it was different. There was something different to it. It was not, in my opinion, it was not pulled off by the same type of people in the same, you know, agencies, whatever agency you want to believe that might be, that have done other mass shootings and been behind these. It had a different feel and a different flavor to it than all the other ones. And I mean, I don't know how much you guys have looked into that or looked at some of the evidence. It's fascinating. You should go look into it. It's definitely another situation where we were lied to on a massive scale. And, you know, the evidence doesn't add up. Even the investigators said they have never found a motive or a reason why their supposed shooter did it. I had this gut feeling at the time, but after seeing other pieces of evidence and finding other connections, I believe, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that Dan Bilzerian had something to do with the murders, with the shootings, with the killings in Las Vegas at that music festival. I had the feeling at the time, I had a gut feeling, I had nothing to back it up with. Now I believe beyond any shadow of a doubt. I mean, he was there. You understand? He was there. Go look at the videos. The guy was fucking live streaming to fucking Instagram. You know, he's supposed to be this big badass guy. He's fucking hauling ass. And then a couple of days after the shooting, this was another thing that was always suspicious to me. Because, you know, you'd think a guy like him that claims that he's Mr. Gun would have had a gun on him, first off. Well, he's hauling ass out of there as people are getting shot. He talks about some girl getting shot in the face right in front of him and her brain hanging out. And he just acted nonchalant about it like he just sees it every day. your average person is going to be distraught. He was just acting like you see it every day. And then here's the most suspicious thing. A few days later, after the shooting happened, magically, how anybody had time to film this, magically some video appears that shows him begging the cops to give him a gun. Now, cops, even the cops that were there were just security. They only carry one gun. He should know that. Why would he? That conveniently came out because a lot of people online were questioning it too. Like, why the fuck are you? You're not trying to help anybody. You're hauling ass out of there. You're Mr. Tough Guy. And then after he got a bunch of crap for it, conveniently another piece of video comes out that shows him like begging a cop to give him a gun. The whole thing just stunk. Now, after the other things I found out, and this article is what triggered me back onto this, I believe 100%. I'll tell you, I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff this guy's connected. This is nuts. I'm going to lay this all out to you. Whew. I believe 100% that Dan Bilzerian had something to do. I believe he was either a spotter on the ground communicating to whoever was up there shooting, and I believe that through his connections to the underground gambling circuit, the underground card game circuit, that he knew the supposed shooter that they set up. I believe he met that because Dan Bilzerian's a card guy. He's a card player. This guy who supposedly was the shooter was a degenerate gambler who played in the same kind of backroom card games that Dan Bilzerian did. I believe that Dan Bilzerian met this guy at backroom card games. He met him. He figured out he'd be the perfect patsy. They set this guy up to take the fall, and I believe he was down there communicating with whoever was down there to do the shooting. And I'll get into all this. From being the king of Instagram to becoming the president of the U.S., Playboy Dan Bilzerian, who boasts 29 million followers, says he's planning to run for the White House in 2024 and believes he could beat Kanye West. Jesus Christ. Yeah, fuck it, right? I mean, fuck it. We had a guy that was born in Kenya and a fucking guy who wasn't even really elected. Back to back. Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's get Kanye and some fucking Dan Bilzerian in there. Fuck it. Let's do this. When's The Rock gonna run? Hey, seriously, it's fucking. It might as well be Idiocracy. Remember who the president was in fucking Idiocracy? 5-time SmackDown World Champion Hector Macho Camacho. That's the fucking future. That's your future right there. That shit was funny when it first came out, but this shit ain't funny no more. It wasn't funny to me, actually, when it first came out. It wasn't funny to me until the second time I watched it. The first time I watched Idiocracy, I didn't laugh. Didn't laugh once. I had to watch it a second time, then I laughed all the way through it. The first time I watched it, I went, it's not funny to me. I feel like I felt when I watched that movie 10 years ago that I already lived in that world. And, now this stuff's happened since then. I'm fucking, sorry, I'll try to slow down. This guy's buddies with Trump. And as soon as I saw it, I said, oh, fuck, I know what's going on here. I've already made all these connections with Russians, the money laundering, all this stuff, the gun trade. And lo and behold, I've connected it all to Dan Bilzerian, too. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Instagram Playboy Dan Bilzerian says he would vote for Kanye West over Hillary Clinton in an election for president. I can't even believe I just read that sentence. I think most people would vote for Kermit the Frog over fucking Hillary Clinton. Jesus Christ. Or fucking, much yes, Kanye. What? Oh, Jesus. Well, I told you, remember for like the first year after Trump got elected, Kanye disappeared? And he had that fucking onstage meltdown and he fucking walked off stage and canceled his whole tour. I told y'all from the jump street. I told y'all that motherfucker's been in an MK Ultra programming camp, getting reprogrammed, and he's going to be used for a larger agenda over the next 3 to 4 years. And motherfucker, I'm telling you right now, especially when you look at the shit I uncovered in the Mystery Hollywood series, there's Kanye stuff in there too. The Ascension Cult stuff I uncovered that ties in directly with the film, the Ascension Cult stuff that's in that film. I'm telling you right now, motherfuckers, They've been programming him for this. This is all a part of it. When asked to comment about West's declared intention to run in 5 years, a former professional poker player told TMZ, better than Hillary. Okay, let me skip through this. Bilzerian, 38, was born in Tampa, Florida, and later asked if he thinks President Trump would endorse him over Kanye. Probably Kanye, he said with a laugh. We'll see. Bilzerian is known by the nickname the King of Instagram, where he has more than 29 million followers. This is what I'm fucking telling you. This is what I've been telling you. Oh, look at these motherfuckers. Joe Rogan, Dan Bilzerian. Look at these guys. Alex Jones. All these guys. This shit is all fake. It's all facade. All these guys that have these millions and millions of followers. This stuff is all come. This is all a part of the fucking, all the Russian bot farms and all this shit. This guy, Bilzerian, is an international weapons smuggler. He got the majority of his money that he claimed he made playing cards actually came from money laundering and came from the illicit activities of his father, who I'll also tell you about, who bankrupted all these countries and then they never got all the money. He stole all these, companies. His father bankrupted all these companies. There was hundreds of millions and millions of dollars that never fucking materialized. And then what he was doing was, this all came out, he was setting up these trusts in his son Dan's name back in the 90s when he was doing all this stuff. So that basically, you know, he could then, it's basically like transferring it over to himself. And speaking of Joe Rogan had this guy on. And Joe Rogan asked him, did all your money come from playing cards? And he fucking got nervous as shit. He fucking avoided the question and changed the subject immediately. You can see the look on his face. This guy is he's in bed with Russia. He has dual Armenian citizenship. Talking about Dan Bilzerian. And he's wanted in Azerbaijan over weapons violations. Guess who else he was buddies with? Remember FPS Russia? You guys remember FPS Russia, don't you? On YouTube? You remember all that? The Russian guys shooting off all the weapons and all that stuff? Funny that these were Russian guys who were doing that, but yet they were in Georgia in the United States. Guess who was buddies with those guys? Dan Bilzerian. You remember what happened with them, right? On January 6, 2013, Keith Ratliff, a member of FPS Russia's production team, was found shot dead in his own gun store. Ratliff was responsible for obtaining the firearms used in the YouTube videos. Following Ratliff's death, the production of FPS Russia's videos went on hiatus until February 19, 2013. In March 2013, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation said it was still investigating. However, as there have been no updates since the initial reports following Ratliff's death, the case has become the subject of numerous conspiracy theories. I wonder why. On March 29, 2013, Myers, Georgia residence was searched by upwards of 40 members of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms alongside officers from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. The investigators also searched Myers' father's nearby farm, a frequent filming location for FPS Russia. ATS spokesman Richard Coase said the justification for the search was that Myers was using explosives and getting paid for it via YouTube. In August 2017, Myers' residence was again raided after Myers was alleged to have received 25 grams of butane hash oil through the mail. Oh, he was set up. They couldn't get him. They couldn't get him. See, yeah, he was set up. They set him up on that fucking hash oil shit because they couldn't time to anything with the guns. They needed the drugs to make the gun thing stick because of the specific laws they have within the state of Georgia where, well, it says federal law. I didn't know that. Federal law prohibits illegal drug users from possessing firearms. So Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. I guess if you get caught with illegal drugs, then you can't possess firearms. Well, yeah, I knew that. But they're making it sound different here. So that's how they got him, essentially. Myers was alleged to have received 25 grams of butane hash oil through the mail. Myers was arrested for felony possession of a restricted substance with intent to distribute, and 50 of his weapons were confiscated under a federal law that prohibits illegal drug users from possessing firearms. He later pled guilty to possession with intent to distribute marijuana and butane honey oil. What are you, Ricky from Trailer Park Boys? Who the fuck's making butane honey oil? With all other charges dismissed. See that? Well, just plead guilty, and we won't charge anything for the guns. We'll just confiscate 50 of them. And yeah, that's how they work, see? On June 19, 2019, Myers was sentenced to 2 years probation, 2 months in prison, and had to pay an order of $7,500. So, Dan Bilzerian, Armenian citizen Dan Bilzerian, wanted an Azure ban over weapons violations. Towards the end of August, poker player and king of Instagram, Dan Bilzerian became an Armenian citizen, along with his brother Adam, of Armenian descent, and given his preference for being out of the ordinary, it shouldn't be too surprising that he would not only seek an Armenian passport, but enlist in the Armenian armed forces. Jesus Christ. This guy, Joe Rogan, he has nothing but the spooks on his show, doesn't he? Jesus. What came next shouldn't be too surprising. Either Bilzerian is wanted by the police in Azure ban for weapons violations. Subsequent to his being sworn in as a citizen in Armenia, Bilzerian supposedly took off to the neighboring Azerbaijan for a little celebration. As he's prone to do, he published his antics on social media and was seen firing a variety of weapons and driving armored vehicles. He posted the photos with the title of First Day as an Armenian Citizen, but the activity reportedly actually took place in Nagorno-Karabakh, a disputed area between the two countries that is recognized internationally as belonging to Azerbaijan. Right, which is the perfect place where you do weapons deals at because, again, you're not really technically in one territory or the next. Thanks to his annex, the Prosecutor General's Office in the Republic of Azerbaijan is seeking an Interpol arrest warrant and has accused Bilzerian of illegally acquiring grenades, a gun, and other firearms and demonstratively opening fire within the boundaries of the disputed region. In normal diplomatic fashion, Bilzerian responded to the allegation saying, quote, "If these inbred goat-fucking Azerbaijani officials get Interpol to arrest me, make sure to smoke my weed." Perhaps instead of throwing models off of rooftops, he should have allocated that time to reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. Bilzerian is certainly no stranger to trouble. He allegedly made several attempts to become a Navy SEAL, but was kicked out for a safety violation. He was banned from a nightclub in Miami, Florida in 2014 after reportedly kicking a model in the face. God, he's just a classic. See, the only guys who know they're untouchable because they work for intelligence agencies do this kind of shit. Bilzerian was also arrested in 2014 at Los Angeles International Airport on bomb-making charges out of Las Vegas, but the charges were dropped. Wait a minute. Didn't they say they found bomb-making materials at the guy's house that was the supposed shooter of the Las Vegas? Jesus Christ. My fucking hair's standing on end, man. Yet another one. I fucking knew it. Man. I knew it from the first fucking night. I remember I was watching this thing, Las Vegas thing, as it was happening. As soon as I saw that fucking video of that fucking guy, man, my spidey sense started tingling, my gut started rumbling. Something was telling me, even though I had nothing to connect to prove it, that guy has something to do. I didn't even know about the poker thing or in the background about it at all. That's how he cleaned up. That's part of the money laundering thing with the proceeds that his dad hid were laundered through his supposed winnings from playing poker and from these gun sales. And he's friends with Trump, and he's in bed with the Russians. My fucking God. This is what I'm telling you, folks. Nobody else is fucking onto this shit. Motherfucker. Here's another suspicions of Bilzerian involved in Russian money laundering. Again, friends with Trump. Paul Bilzerian. is an Armenian-American businessman and corporate takeover specialist convicting of failing to make and complete timely disclosures on Schedule 13D filings related to unsuccessful takeover attempts of Cluett, Peabody and Company, and Hammermill Paper Company in the 1980s. But yeah, there's all kinds of openly available stuff about Bilzerian. Here's a Vice article on it. Did Instagram bro hero Dan Bilzerian get his start thanks to his father's dirty money? Again, this is all out there, but nobody's put this stuff together yet. And if they have, nobody's been brave enough to say it or talk about it. I believe beyond any shadow of a doubt that if you wanted to fucking find one person that knows everything about the truth about what happened at that shooting in Las Vegas, Dan Bilzerian is the guy. Dan Bilzerian's the guy. Man, how the fuck do I figure this shit out? And yet the motherfuckers that get paid big bucks to investigate this shit don't. It's either it's because they fucking don't want the truth to come out, or B, they're fucking just incompetent, but I tend to think it's just a mixture of both. Dan Bilzerian is one of those celebrities whose fame is difficult to comprehend. The best way to get him is to join his nearly 12 million Instagram followers and dive into photos of the bearded, barrel-chested man debarking private jets with topless women sitting on a throne next to a lion, diving into a pristine sea while a yacht can be seen in the background, and walking pensively through the woods with an assault rifle. And that's just in one scroll. His feed is basically lifestyle porn for dudes who measure success in terms of women, weapons, and wealth. Men who fantasize about racing fast cars, playing poker professionally, and working as a stuntman, all of which Bilzerian has done. I mean, this guy is fucking, he's a multi-state intelligence asset with high-level clearance. And I suspect that pulling off the Las Vegas thing is what's elevated him, and probably is what elevated him to the point, because they pulled it off so well, has elevated him to the point where now they're talking about this guy running as president. And let me tell you something right now. You think I'm on you now, motherfucker. You think I'm on you now. You wait till I get the rest of this Russian information, the rest of this stuff out. Motherfucker, you run for president. I'm going to be on you even harder than I'm on you right now. You hear me? He's the kind of guy who books himself a nightclub appearance and says it's part of his fake campaign for president. He's the kind of guy who claims to have partied so hard that he's had 2 heart attacks before the age of 35. He's the kind of guy who tries to trademark his own face, literally. He filled out an application to trademark a portrait of Dan Bilzerian in a rectangular frame with the stylized wording GOAT located in the bottom portion of the rectangular frame below. Except that's not precisely accurate. The trademark was actually applied for by Blitz Nevada, a limited liability corporation, LLC, registered in Las Vegas. According to public records, Blitz NV LLC is owned by Goatworks LLC, which is located in Montana and is owned by Dan Bilzerian. View a screen grab of the company's listing in Montana here, which is to say that Dan Bilzerian is the kind of guy who owns a company that owns another company that trademarks its owner's face. God, that's money laundering 101 right there, isn't it? Create another shell company that's actually the front for the other shell company that's already a shell company. In short, Bilzerian's public image is based on the fact that he has a lot of money and spends that money the way a badass 14-year-old might. In his world, or at least on his Instagram, first you get the money, then you get the things, then you get famous for having the things, then you turn that fame into more money. It's essentially a perpetual status machine that is probably very, very fun to own and operate. But how did that personal status machine get jump-started? If you ask Bilzerian, the short answer is poker. In a 2013 interview with the Daily Dot, Bilzerian said that he started playing the game seriously in college. Quote, I went broke after sophomore year, gambled away all my money, sold some guns, turned $750 into $10,000, flew to Vegas, turned $10,000 into $187,000, he explained. That same year, the Daily Mail described him as a, quote, poker champion worth $100 million, a figure that has echoed around the internet ever since. But there's at least one other reason Dan Bilzerian has made so much money. he had a ton of it to begin with, and that money wasn't exactly clean. Public records reveal that Dan Bilzerian has been a party to a Byzantine network of corporations, companies, and other business formulations designed to protect the assets of his white-collar criminal father, Paul Bilzerian, from the government, and that the 34-year-old Instagram star has been a beneficiary of trusts established by his old man in the 1990s at a time when his dad owed tens of millions of dollars to the feds. The American dream, right? More or less. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal last year, Dan Bilzerian acknowledged that he did inherit some money in a trust from his father, a corporate raider and felon who in 1993 was slapped with $62 million in fines by the Security and Exchange Commission for fraud, and as of 2014 had only paid back $3.7 million of it. But Dan declined to say how much or what role he had in kickstarting his career, of course, just like when Rogan asked him. In that same interview, he claimed to have made $50 million from poker in a little over a year. Speaking to All In magazine, Bilzerian, who through a representative declined to comment for this article, repeated this statistic. If you look at poker as a sport like baseball, he said, then I'd maybe be a minor league or a high school ball player, but I played with T-ballers. If you look at poker like a business, I'd say I'm fucking Bill Gates. I've won over $50 million playing poker. Who the fuck else has done that? This guy's such a liar and a fake. Man, all of you fucks are going to get exposed. All of you. You're all fucking going down. You fucking arrogant pieces of shit who know how many fucking dummies there are out there. You never count on the one motherfucker who's not a dummy in a sea of dummies, and that's me, and I'm coming for you. Paul Bilzerian certainly didn't. The man made his fortune in the 1980s as a corporate raider, engaging in various tactics to artificially drive up the price of companies in which he had a stake and raking in a tremendous profit in the process. In 1989, he was convicted of fraud and served 13 months in a federal prison. In 1991, the elder Bilzerian filed for bankruptcy in the state of Florida. 2 years later, the SEC told him he owed $62 million, which he claimed he couldn't pay because he didn't have any cash. Over the following 2 decades, the SEC has continued to chase Paul Bilzerian in a maddening game of financial and legal cat and mouse, in which the mouse is always a step or 5 ahead. In its most extreme, this dance found Paul Bilzerian declaring bankruptcy and then going to jail for refusing to admit he was lying about his finances. Deborah Meshullam, the receiver in the SEC's case against Paul Bilzerian, declined to comment on the status of the agency's quest to recover its money, and an SEC spokesman also declined to comment, citing the fact that all investigations are private. Still, as a Florida judge put it in 2001, between 1994 and 1999, Bilzerian transferred his substantial assets into a complex ownership structure of offshore trusts and family-owned companies and partnerships. It's clear that he did this purposefully to insulate his assets from the reach of the creditors. The web of assets that Paul Bilzerian wove in the 1990s is extremely intricate. If you're inclined, you can look at numerous SEC filings like this one or this one, which are complicated to the point of essentially being written in code. If you manage to decipher them, you can find out stuff like this. In 1995, Paul Bilzerian and his wife, Terry Steffen, established the Paul A. Bilzerian and Terry L. Steffen Family Trust of 1995, which was the limited partner of Overseas Holdings Limited Partnership, which was owned by another entity called Overseas Holding Company. That's exactly what the fuck I was just saying earlier about what his son did with trying to trademark his face. Set up one shell company that actually funds the other company that actually is a shell company. Well, his father taught him well, didn't he? Fucking A, dude. There's all the proof you need to know that that's what the fuck he's doing. Jesus Christ. That's why all these fucking guys, Rogan, fucking Jones, Dan Bilzerian, these guys, dude, all their fucking followers, it's all fake. It's all come from these fucking Russian troll farms, these bots, all of it's come from that. It's all These guys, all these intelligence assets, all have these artificially puffed up numbers. That's how you can tell that they're fucking intelligence assets. No real person telling you the real truth and being real has that. These guys, these are set up, and they're set up and designed to make people feel inferior and to further sell the narrative of who these people are, when in reality, they are intelligence assets. Listen, y'all might be fooling everybody else, but you're not fooling Josh Reeves, and in turn, you're not fooling the people that listen to Josh Reeves, okay? You motherfuckers are getting exposed. You're going down. This is unbelievable, man. I fucking knew it, man. I knew from the first fucking night with that shooting happened in Las Vegas, and I saw that fucking guy broadcasting that shit. I said, this motherfucker had something to do with it. And then after everybody started giving me shit online, calling him a pussy from running from the scene, you could hear shots going off and he's running away from the scene, acting nonchalant. I just saw some girl, she got she got shot in the head, her brain was hanging out right in front of me. Just straight face, like it's just day to day, like it's just something you see every day. And then conveniently, after he got all that shit, days after the shooting, then some fucking magical video appears of him supposedly begging a cop to give him a gun to sort of back up his story. Bullshit. Let me continue here. They set up the Terry L. Seven Family Trust in 1995, which was limited partner of Overseas Holding Limited Partnership, which was owned by another entity called Overseas Holding Company. Overseas Holding Company Limited Partnership owned a stake in Chimetrics, a Utah software company, which Bilzerian was once president. So Bilzerian could move the money he technically didn't have around, like when Overseas Holding Company borrowed $90,000 from Bicoastal Holding Company, whose sole stockholder was Terry Steffen, his wife. Meanwhile, Chimetrics SEC filings note that in 1999, the company paid Paul Bilzerian a salary of $10,000 per month. He was paid through Bicoastal and provided with a rent-free apartment, a monthly $1,500 allowance, as well as reimbursements for reasonable travel expenses. Meanwhile, Bicoastal would often sell its shares of Chimetrics stock, generating funds for his wife, Steffen. When I reached out to Chimetrics about the Bilzerian family and their involvement in the company, a spokeswoman told me they had no idea who Paul Bilzerian was. SEC filings also show that Paul Bilzerian established an irrevocable trust for his two children, Dan and his younger brother Adam, who was also a well-known poker player. In 2001, a judge noted that this trust was one of many means through which Paul appeared to be attempting to hide his assets. A Paul Bilzerian bankruptcy judgment, also from 2001, indicated that in 1997, the Bilzerian Sons Trust was worth roughly $11.96 million in Chimetrics stock. Dan was entitled to about half of that. Jesus. It's hard to definitively prove that Dan Bilzerian's trust fund is made up of money that belongs to the SEC, but all signs point to that. Transfer of assets of family members for well less than their market value have for centuries been marked as badges of fraud, said Brad Miller, a former U.S. congressman from North Carolina who worked on financial reform in Congress after shit hit the fan in 2008. When the guy who has all the assets is suddenly poor, but his wife and kids are suddenly rich, and he says, I don't have a pot to pee in, but I have a very generous wife and sons who will keep me from sleeping under a bridge, Miller explained there's probably something sketchy going on. In this case, Paul Bilzerian was likely hiding money he didn't want to pay the SEC by giving some of it to his wife and putting the rest of it in a bunch of companies and trusts and whatnot. Though Dan and Adam's trust was eventually forced to surrender roughly 30% of its assets to the SEC, in February 2014, a judge granted Dan Bilzerian permission to sell 1.7 million Chimetric shares. View a screen grab of the court documents, relevant information here. Shortly before that, he posted an Instagram photo with a caption, quote, I bought this house in Montana yesterday. I haven't seen it yet, but the pics look sick. From April 2007 until this past January, Dan Bilzerian was listed as the president, secretary, treasurer, and director of Caligula Corporation, well, that's a great name, was subject to administrative dissolution by the Florida Secretary of State in 2013 for failing to file an annual report. Caligula was formed in 2005 by Terry Stephan, who, according to corporate filings, handled the role of principal over to Adam, the brother, in 2006. A year later, Adam gave the corporation to Dan. According to its Florida corporate profile, at no point did it belong to their father, Paul. However, a 2009 bankruptcy filing by National Gold Exchange, a company with which Paul Bilzerian did business with, referred to Caligula as being, quote, controlled by Paul Bilzerian. Meanwhile, a 2010 lawsuit filed by a former Bilzerian family lawyer against him alleged that by 2007, Caligula was owned by Dan, but not operated by Paul. The implication was that Paul Bilzerian was using Caligula as a vessel through which he could safely conduct business. According to a ruling in a 2009 civil suit filed by the SEC against Paul Bilzerian, quote, Paul Bilzerian does appear to have some involvement in Caligula, and the agency had suspicions he'd spurred a lawsuit on Caligula's part against National Gold Exchange. This would have been a violation of a 2001 ruling barring Paul from taking legal action without the court's approval. Additionally, the judge noted that Caligula had listed either Bilzerian's wife or his sons Adam or Dan as the president, secretary, treasurer, and registered agents of the Caligula Corporation at various times. During that time, Dan, Paul Bilzerian's former lawyer David Hammer, and Caligula entered into a partnership called Haircut Partners, LLP, in an attempt to collect debts from bicoastal holding companies, one of Paul Bilzerian's companies, by forcing it into involuntary bankruptcy. Remember, they were one of the entities involved in Chimetrics. In 2010, a judge wrote in a Florida court decision regarding Bilzerian's misuse of Haircut, quote, the fact that Haircut was formed by Bilzerian's son, his son's corporation, and his former attorney raises the court's suspicion that Haircut is in active concert or participation with Bilzerian. When I called Hammer asking to discuss the Bilzerian family finances, he vehemently declined to comment. It's alleged schemes like this, along with the trust and the vast, confusing, interconnected network of Bilzerian financial affairs, that led one lawyer to write that the family's finances were, quote, like an onion. The more layers you peel down, the more it stinks and makes you cry. It should be said that Bilzerian's family financial trickery is less a statement to some unique evil on their part and more to their taking advantage of the convoluted and often unenforceable rules and regulations governing the financial world. Even with highly public figures, it's virtually impossible to figure out where their money is, said Edward Seidel, a former SEC lawyer who now works as a private financial investigator. Wall Street has moved to an unprecedented level of secrecy. But the role of Dan Bilzerian in this thicket of deception is important. It turns the myth of Dan Bilzerian, the self-made independent playboy who lives the way you want to live, into just that, a myth. So there you go. But yeah, you look into this guy for yourself. The stuff with the FPS Russia guys as well. I mean, you can go watch the videos where he's there hanging out with those guys. You know, the guy who supplied all the weapons gets fucking shot in the head and murdered. I mean, you can see where this is all going. He happens to be on the ground there at the Las Vegas shooting. The guy that supposedly did the shooting was a degenerate gambler who played in underground fucking poker parties. I mean, he ran in the same circles Dan Bilzerian ran. 2 + 2 still equals 4, no matter what these motherfuckers will tell you. And, I mean, this guy's wanted. I mean, he's a known international gun smuggler. He's a known money launderer. He's got connection to Trump, connection to Russia, connection to murdered guys over weapons. It's just insane. And this is just one case. I mean, there's so much truth and so much lies sitting right in front of us, and people just don't even know it. Well, I gave you a hell of a show tonight, and that's all I got. Again, as I said at the beginning of the show, I need about a week to just tear ass on this film, so, $300 is our goal for the week. help us reach that goal. I need to keep the lights on. As Randy from Trailer Park Boy says, a man's got to eat. And all your support and help is much appreciated, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you guys. But I got to get back to it. We'll talk to you next time, guys. Take care. Folks, this is Josh Reeves, and I'm here to tell you about a fantastic website, FixYourGut.com. FixYourGut.com can help you take control of your overall health. Are you sick and tired of suffering from indigestion, acid reflux, bloating, or abdominal pain? Do you run to the bathroom either all the time or hardly ever at all? Do you forget things often or have trouble concentrating? Are you depressed or anxious? Do you have IBD or SIBO? Digestive disorders are increasing in frequency because of our toxic-laden, fast-paced world. There are billions of microorganisms that live in your intestinal tract that have more to say about your health than almost anything else. Learn how to make sure your gut has more of the right organisms to improve your health and enhance your life. FixYourGut.com has over 200 free blog articles, and it's one of the most valuable resources on the planet to improve your overall health and well-being. Search either Fix Your Gut or We've Read the Documents on YouTube for the latest health and conspiracy information as well. You can also purchase John Brisson's book, Fix Your Gut, or get personal one-on-one health coaching to help get you back to living your life happy and healthy. Visit FixYourGut.com, the ultimate source for all things digestive health.